In 1969, man first stepped foot on the moon. That is quite some time ago now, and we haven't been back since 1972 until next month. The Artemis 2 mission is due to go around the moon once again. It's kind of repeat or a simulation of Apollo 8 that many years ago back in 1968. And today's video, I want to track the history, the connection between NASA and Western Australia. And one of the first places where they made a connection is here in the lovely town of Muchea. I'm here in Muchea this morning. We're going to explore like the site of the tracking station. I know it's in a street very near here. In the early 1960s, they reckoned that Muchea was the place to be. It was a tiny farming town. I think there was one shop, not like today when there are many shops in this amazing sports centre. And they decided that because it's like the other side of the world from Cape Canaveral or Cape Kennedy, which I had good fortune to go to back in the 90s, because it's on the other side of the world from there, that they needed to get this place up and running for 1962, where they could communicate with John Glenn in Friendship 7. Because don't forget, the first two American spaceships weren't going around the world. They were taking baby steps compared to the Soviets. They decided the third one with John Glenn would go around and go over Perth, which is about 45 minutes south of here. And the interesting story behind that is Perth decided it would leave all its lights on. First it was going to be the airport runway strip, then it was the street lights, because they used to, in the old days, they used to turn the street lights off. And then John Glenn in Friendship 7 actually saw the lights of Perth on. They mentioned it in the right stuff. So Perth became the new city of lights. It wasn't Paris, it was going to be Perth. Muchea was the place, the place where the first Australian made contact with someone from outer space, someone in space, which was John Glenn in Friendship 7. And it was about 50 minutes from launch, because we're like the other side of the world from the east coast of the US. It's about 50 minutes from launch to get overhead of Perth. And they had like a tracking station here, and then they had communications as well. And you also had astronauts being Capcom, like Gordon Cooper was here communicating with John Glenn in that very eventful mission. So it's in a couple of streets where I'll see if I could work out the location. There's also, Muchea is quite close to the firing range, just down the end of the street, and also Pearce Air Force Base. But Muchea was only used between 1962 and 1964. And then they decided they wanted a different facility, so they decided to go to Carnarvon, which is a bit of a different story. We'll continue that in just a minute. But Carnarvon's an amazing site. I've been there a couple of times, once in the 1970s, and also in recently in the last 5 years. So I went to Carnarvon as well and visited. There's a space museum there. So Carnarvon is definitely worth a visit. But right now we're in Muchea. Let's see if we can find out whereabouts on Archibald Street this tracking station was. See if there's any plaque or signs that was there. Okay, here we are. This is the firing range side of town. As I said, Pearce Air Force Base is not too far away, so it figures that they've got a lot of these military areas. So Archibald Street is like the main street that goes in and out of town, which is kind of just near where I was. But I also noticed there's another funny little street called Moonrise. So I might go check that out, because maybe there's some connection to the moon landings and stuff there. So let's go have a look. Just up there is Archibald Street, right behind me is Moonrise. Could that be a connection to what we're looking for? I'll have a few more looks down Archibald Street, as it is the main street. I suspect it's the firing range at the end where it used to be. Some interesting structures over there. A lot of houses have moved over there as well. So just got to confirm that this area here, this area behind me, this area is the home of the Muchea Tracking Station. It is now a firing range, so no one is going there anytime soon. But yeah, this is where it happened back between 1962 and 1964. They were tracking the spaceships, the Mercury spaceships from here. I think the last one was Gordon Cooper's extra long duration space flight. After that, things changed and they decided to move to Carnarvon, and that's where our story continues. I made a detour to the Bullsbrook Museum. Check out these guys though. Look, Brahman cows. Hello mates. And houses. Crazy. That's the Bullsbrook Museum. There's work being done on the hall at the moment, so things are everywhere. The entrance is actually from the road behind us. And the ladies in there were very nice, and I actually found a folder on lots of interesting facts about Muchea. Okay, Carnarvon started getting set up, I think around about 66. They have like a sugar scoop satellite. The OTC dish, that's almost 30 meters wide, so that's huge. So it was used throughout the Gemini and the Apollo missions in the 1960s and early 70s. But by the time I saw it in the late 70s, it was decommissioned. It sat dormant for a really long time. It did still have to work. Like if there was a monsoon season, they had to turn a dish a certain way. So it was working a little bit, but basically it got decommissioned. And it was just sitting there in the south of Carnarvon. You could see it pretty much from anywhere in Carnarvon. And nothing was happening with it, except in 2012, around there, they started up the Space and Technology Museum, which is a really good visit. If you do go to Carnarvon, it's 10 hours north of Perth, so it's a big drive. But weirdly enough, in 2024, the Canadian company was looking for a satellite dish in the southern hemisphere. I think using Street View or something like that, they discovered the satellite dish in the OTC dish in Carnarvon, and then they've done some experiments and they're bringing it back online. In end of 2024, they actually contacted a satellite for the first time in like 50 years, something crazy like that. So that satellite dish is now operational, fully operational again, and they are spending money to invest in refurbishing it, greasing up the ball bearings and painting the dish and doing all the correct things. We do have quite a few other dishes and other places in West Australia. I think the Eastern European Space Agency has a dish just outside the historic town of New Norcia, which is currently, contacting the space missions run by ESA. And then also out of Minganyu, there's we passed a couple of years ago, I passed the Space Centre, the West Australian Space Centre, and I think it'll be one of those. There's been a new dish built for the Artemis missions. Apparently Australia has signed up to the Artemis Accord. We're playing a really important role in the Artemis missions. I mean, we are using it to communicate with the moon and communicating with the missions that go to the moon, like Artemis 2. That we're still playing an important role in that. And also Australian research companies are admitting, or they've got something called the lunar rover, so Ru as in kangaroo, but rover. They're inventing a device that can collect space rocks and bring it back to the spacecraft or something. So West Australia still playing a really important role in space science technology, which is great to see. And it all started here in Muchea, this tiny little town just north of Perth. So pretty cool thing to see. That the original site of the tracking station is now the artillery range. Please do not try and go on there because it's probably very, very dangerous. But West Australia and Australia are playing important roles in space technology, and we wish the people of the Artemis 2 mission and the future missions back to the moon all the best of luck. And that's all for me for now. My name is Iain. You've been watching All the Old Things, and we'll catch you next time. See you then.